Welcome back to my Colorado Mountain Garden. And about 3 to 4 weeks ago, I did put my rosemary seeds in my refrigerator to do what's called cold stratification. And rosemary is a herb that is hard to get germination on, and it grows really slowly, but it's also a good herb for those of you that don't have a lot of height, and but you want to start planting something. It grows really slow and you can handle it. um the other herb is, let me find it. Oh, that it's a low grower. It's thyme. Thyme grows faster than rosemary, but you can trim it back if you need to, and you can keep it in smaller containers for a little while. I went ahead this year with my rosemary. Instead of putting it in the small cells, I think these are either 2.5 by 2.5 or 2.5 by 3. And then I'll have to find a tray to put them in. I have these little domes. With rosemary, you definitely want it under a dome. And I'm just going to tell you because I've had it germinate in as fast as 5 or 6 days, at least one little plant coming up. And it has taken as long as 20 days. So, with only having an eighth of an inch of soil on top of those seeds, and the seeds are very tiny, you want to make sure it stays moist. And here in Colorado, it is very dry. And I don't run a humidifier in my room or anything like that because once I start getting my plants going, I have plenty of humidity. I don't need to put a humidifier in there. Um, these particular ones, these are older ones, they actually do have vents. If I get some little plants coming up, I will open those vents up just to make sure that uh, I don't get any mold or anything growing. But I'm anticipating waiting about a week before I see anything, the possibility of seeing anything, I should say. Again, cold stratification on the seeds, putting it in the refrigerator, tricks the plant to thinking that it went through its dormancy outside. And I don't want to say the plant, the seed. And then all of a sudden it gets warm air and everything like that. The other thing that I do, and I waited until I had peppers above the ground because I turned on my grow lights today, is also they say that rosemary prefers to have light on it. Again, I think it has something to do with the fact that there's so little soil on top, and I don't know, maybe you think it's reaching towards the sun. I do not know. On that one, it's just a few articles that I've read. I have done the cold stratification for the last 3 or 4 years. I still have one seed packet of rosemary. This is in these cells here. I distributed these seeds evenly, knowing that many of them may not germinate. And if you're new to gardening and you only get a few, that's fine. Rosemary is hard, and that's why a lot of people choose to purchase it either at a nursery, big box store. Some people will go to Whole Foods or um, natural grocers, things like that. A lot of times they either have bare root plants or they actually have plants in soil when it gets closer to spring. I needed to get this going because if I don't get any germination, then I'm going to start the other packet. If I get good germination, I'll probably still start the other packet, but in smaller cells. And the reason being is that I belong to a garden group here in my area, and I do sell some leftover plants. And because rosemary grows really slow, it doesn't get tall real fast, I can hold these plants until people um, can use them. People who don't have grow lights, don't have a grow room, that would normally buy them, let's say from Home Depot. I keep my plants very clean of pests. I do not tolerate fungus gnats or anything like that. I sterilize my soil. So that's why I like to bring some of the herbs in, because a lot of times those herbs that people bring in and try and hold them inside, once they hit the nursery, they, you know, they've been out in the elements, and it's hard to get rid of that stuff, and you don't want it transferring over to your house plant. I hope all this makes sense, and hopefully I come back in a few days and we have rosemary growing. But these little domes on these ones aren't so good. But I'm gonna let them drain a little bit more here on the paper towel, and then they're gonna go into. I have to find a tray. I'll put them in a tray, and we'll see what happens. Happy gardening!